all set.
Hope so. You'd be a little conspicuous just walking the streets.
Relax, Kev. I'll blend right in.
Yeah. Well, just get into the sewer system ASAP. Hopefully anyone who notices you will just mind their own business. Sure you want the K9000 there along for this one?
I had the good doctor make some adjustments along with the repairs. Remote piloting and AI wiping have been disabled. So yeah, I say let's throw him a bone.
Wordplay. My exoskeleton resembles a canine. Canines enjoy bones. Amusing on 2 levels.
Let's go.
¿Quién es ese güey? ¿Un mariachi? ¿No? ¿Cyborg? Ese es un güero. ¿Qué?
Adiós, amigos.
¿Viste? Qué raro, ¿eh? Hay que hacer que no lo vimos. Vámonos ya.
It's right. I'm in the sewer system.
All right, let's get started. Your mission's to investigate the Desperado-affiliated research center somewhere in that area. According to the intel from our client, the lab's been dumping illegal waste into those sewers. FYI, they're also involved with the cartels in human trafficking. Allegedly, anyway.
This just gets better and better.
Tell me about it. We need you to infiltrate the lab and find out everything you can. Of course, you'll have to find it first. We still don't know the exact location.
So I'm looking for anywhere the lab might hook up with the sewers?
Yep. If they're actually dumping waste, they've got to link up somehow. Find that connection, sneak into the lab, and see if you can find evidence implicating them on anything.
No problem. Stealth's my specialty.
Right. Well, we'll see.
Do we have any idea what kind of research they're doing there?
Not really. Maybe something related to all the people they're trafficking.
Like experimentation?
It's possible. First things first, though. Find a way into that lab. Oh, right. It says here the locals say black crocodiles live in those sewers, so you know, watch out.
Black crocodiles? Could they be talking about UGs?
Maybe just an urban legend. But still, be careful.
I will scout ahead. You will provide backup.
Sir, yes, sir.
Commence operation. Right. Unidentified UGs are patrolling the sewers. Exercise caution.
Ah, the Mastiff. That body makes it good in close quarters combat. It uses those arms to grab and damage foes. Moves like that you cannot parry, Raiden. You need to avoid them completely. Watch carefully to tell when it will grab rather than punch or some other attack.
Ah, the Mastiff humanoid UG. In all the industry, its proportions are the closest to our regular human beings.
It's not a cyborg?
Not at all. It may be styled after one, but its behavioral patterns are relatively quite basic. It's still quite a way off from believable human behavior, you know. With a stronger AI, I could see Mastiffs taking the place of common infantry perhaps, but no more. Regardless, do not underestimate their strength or their armor. Weaken them with standard attacks before entering blade mode for the final strikes.
Better take out that UG quick. Don't want to attract too much attention down there.
How are things back in Abkhazia?
Thanks to the full efforts of the workers, power was restored in just 2 days.
Pretty impressive.
Only the power plant is back online though. Refinery itself will likely be out of service for months. Fuel sent from Supsa is being used to power the plant for now.
Just wish I could have stopped him.
Impossible without a sniper. And in our focus on anti-cyborg combat, we were unprepared. Thankfully, other than financial losses, few Abkhaz citizens were seriously affected. The plant workers had already been evacuated, and most were hired back on to rebuild the refinery. We received payment and are not being blamed for the suicide blast.
Good to hear. It should go a long way to help fix our reputation.
And even more good news. Desperado is down one of its top captains.
Let's hope they learned a lesson.
We can hope, but it is doubtful. We still do not know who is supporting them. Even if we shut Desperado down entirely, their backers could simply hire some other PMC.
Whoever it is, do you really think they're interested in the pipeline? Who'd benefit besides the Georgians?
Hard to say. Whatever the plan was, it went up in flames with Dolzaev's suicide. The problem is that there are countless companies and governments profiting off the BTC pipeline. Whoever is behind it, they may be too big for a simple security firm like us to do anything.
Yeah, one thing we do know, though, is that Sundowner's more than just a pawn in all of this. We need to watch him. Trafficking or not, we need to stop their operation here.
Find the evidence, and perhaps we can do that. And Tovarich, be careful.
Have you ever worked with this client of ours before?
Da. Several active human rights groups engage in non-violent interventions like this one. Typically, they hire firms like ours to provide security and backup. Most serious human rights abuses take place in unstable regions, after all. Legitimate human rights groups, not fakes set up by oil firm or such things, they cannot handle it.
Yeah, it's different for private groups working in hostile regions, especially when some of that hostility comes from the local authorities.
Indeed. NGOs and security firms play a greater role in peacekeeping, too. You know, DDR business, disarmament, demobilization, reintegration, like the UN runs it. Usually, carrying weapons is not permitted for the group involved, for obvious reasons.
So outfits like ours run guard duty. If the locals don't like armed peacekeepers, then they pretend to be unarmed observers instead.
Da. It's beneficial for the client if the locals are aware of the firepower backing them, though. I've drank tea with the sort of people my company would normally be pushing back with the butts of our rifles. It's very different from usual. More direct sort of security work, especially at beginning. But I got used to it. Less danger of unexpected conflict, and the pay is pretty good. We've built a good reputation for this kind of work. This is why NGO hired us for this job.
This trial mentioned someone from her past. Any idea who that could have been?
None. I checked her file again, couldn't find a thing. Definitely not Dolzaev. Probably not Sundowner either.
No. The way she put it, it didn't sound like anyone I've encountered so far. Maybe someone involved in backing Desperado.
If so, sounds like they're providing more than just financing. Maybe they share the same philosophy.
That'd be bad. People willing to die for their leaders aren't so easy to predict.
Yeah, but other than the wins, Desperado's cyborgs are all just hired contractors. They're probably emotion suppressed with nanos or drugs or whatever, but that's about it.
You're probably right. You know, I've never really developed a taste for climbing through sewers, and Guadalajaras aren't exactly wowing me either. This place isn't gonna go up in flames, right? I think I saw something about that in the briefing.
You're talking about 1992? What a mess. Over 200 people killed. That was almost a half-century ago, though. You smell anything off? Before the explosions, residents complained they smelled gas from the sewers.
I'm in a sewer, Kev. You think I've got my smell receptors on? Local air analysis doesn't show anything potentially poisonous or explosive, though.
Well, you ought to be fine then. Besides, little gas explosion's probably not going to kill someone like you.
Well, that's very encouraging. Seriously, though, Guadalajara is not a bad place, at least from what I've seen.
Oh, it's not. Second largest city in Mexico, after all. I've actually spent a lot of time down there. It's got a lot of charm. The architecture is a fusion of Latin and old colonial Spanish culture. The city's historic district is home to a massive cathedral overlooking the whole town. It's always bustling. It's a lot of fun just kicking back and watching the locals. Walking around the Libertad, taking in the sun with a cerveza in one hand, mariachi band nearby. No better way to spend a weekend, let me tell you.
If this PMC thing doesn't work out, you'd make one hell of a tour guide. Meanwhile, I'm down in this dark, filthy, humid, cramped sewer.
Also, if you ask me, the girls over there are the hottest in all of Mexico. You wouldn't believe some of the chicas I've chatted up. On the street, in the shopping malls, at the bars.
Sounds like better company than a robo-wolf and a bunch of plague-ridden mice.
Well, hang in there. I'll buy you a shot of tequila after we wrap this up. The city of Tequila's not far, actually. That's where it originated.
Hey, Kev, let me ask you something.
What's up? We've been over pretty much all the...
No. Those girls in Guadalajara, you never told me what happened.
Jeez, man, we're in the middle of a mission here.
So they used you for free drinks and then took off, I take it, huh?
Well, they weren't really my type. I'm more of an intellectual, you know? I don't go for just any random girl at a bar. Looks are one thing, but I need someone I can talk to. Someone fun but clever with a good sense of humor.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Look, Kev, you're in your 30s now. It's time to stop holding out for Lil Miss Perfect. You just need to find someone nice. You know, settle down, start a family.
Okay, Mom. Okay.
Laugh all you want, Kev, but having kids will change your life. I can't see him all the time with work and all, but whenever I'm back home, he's always so excited to see me. When I see that, I feel like, you know, I want to do whatever I can to keep him happy.
Sure, I hear you. But look, man, I was just having some fun in Mexico. I wasn't seriously searching for a wife or anything.
I know, but separate from that, I just think you've gotten too damn picky. I can understand trying to find the ideal woman when you're young, but you know what? It's those little imperfections, those idiosyncrasies that keep things interesting in the long run. You come to appreciate that kind of stuff in a lifetime relationship.
Idiosyncrasies, huh? Like if she snores or she talks loud during movies?
Well, not if she talks during movies. A man's got to have some standards.
Can't believe Dolzaev blew himself up.
Pretty common terror tactic. You don't usually see the leaders doing it, though. It's one thing to get your flock pumped up on the glory of dying for the cause, but it's not often they actually go through with it themselves.
You gotta have a public face, after all. The guy who gets to claim responsibility on the evening news.
In a weird way, Dolzaev showed some serious dedication. Not that I'm about to praise him for it.
Yeah, still a terrorist. A suicide bomber in the end.
If that's what you want to call him. Still, he kind of failed at it.
How so?
Well, all that explosion did was put a dent in Abkhazia's budget. Or Russia's, really. They're the ones rebuilding the refinery. The coup didn't work out. He couldn't overthrow the government. He was barely a blip on Russia's radar.
So, you're saying the bombing didn't accomplish any of his goals? He did it just because he was cornered? Sounds more like just plain suicide.
Yeah. Probably wanted to end things with his own hands. Like a samurai committing harakiri.
Still not something to be commended for, though.
Yeah. Lumping him in with true warriors like the samurai just gives them a bad name.
I hope she didn't get to you. Wanting to protect the weak that's worth striving for.
Don't worry. I've heard more than a few supervillain spiels in my time. Maybe we had some things in common in our past, but not anymore. I bring my beliefs into every battle I fight. You want to call me foolish? Well, that's not going to change me.
I'm glad to hear that, Raiden. Say, Raiden, where'd you get that hat you were wearing?
The sombrero? Well, picked it up at a souvenir store here. I guess I just kind of like the design. Also, when you're on a scout mission, it's vital that you use the local attire to blend into the background.
Yeah. I think it looked pretty good on you. You looked like some kind of mariachi singer.
Oh, you think so?
Yep. Only, that's kind of a problem, too.
How so?
Well, I mean, that sombrero really is meant to be part of a mariachi costume. Mexicans don't wear hats like that normally.
Come on. The guy at the shop told me I'd look just like a local.
Yeah, a local tourist, maybe. Look, you might see a lot of Mexican men wearing sombreros during their daily routines, but, Nothing like that. They'd go for something a lot more simple and compact. Something not all that different from cowboy hats in the Old West.
Are you sure?
I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard one theory about the modern cowboy hat. They say it's based on the sombreros the original Western settlers brought from Mexico. Of course, cowboy hats come in all shapes and sizes, so you can't really say a specific one's the cowboy hat.
Well, now I know why the locals were so eager to get a look at me.
That wasn't the hat. By the way, Raiden, have you ever eaten nopalitos? They're typically called nopales.
Huh. Oh, like that street vendor was selling. Nope. Nopales.
Well, that's too bad. You really ought to try some while you're in the area.
Yeah, but it's from a cactus, right? Doesn't it taste all thin and watery?
Not at all. It's kind of like the flesh of aloe vera leaves or the seaweed used in Japanese cooking. It's got this really soft but crunchy texture, and it's really versatile. You can eat nopales as is in a salad, saute them, stir-fry them with steak, put them in tacos. You can even toss them in a blender to make some juice.
I had no idea.
Tell me about it. I got hooked after Boris took me to this one Mexican restaurant. After that, I just had to learn more about them. Ooh, for example, they're really low in calories. They also have lots of soluble and insoluble fiber, which not only promotes digestion, but is great for maintaining healthy cholesterol and blood pressure levels. It's even thought to help prevent intestinal cancer. It's packed with healthy stuff too, like vitamins B and C, potassium, and iron.
Okay, I get it. It's good for you. So how does it taste?
Huh? I just told you.
Never mind. Probably can't capture any food down here anyway. Not that I'd need to. My muscles run on fuel cells, and I've got enough blood sugar to keep my brain running for another week.
Well, you can still eat though, right?
Yep.
So, how about we all go out for Mexican once you're done? Food's a lot more than just an energy supply, you know? It's meant to be enjoyed.
With that, I agree.
Raiden, can I ask you something?
Sure. What is it?
Just wondering, why'd you join Maverick in the first place?
Well, Boris and I go way back. Our first time working together was rescuing Sunny. That's Colonel Gerlukovich's granddaughter. He and Boris were good friends back in the USSR.
Right. The Patriots were holding her?
Yeah, I was mainly working with the PLA, but Boris was a huge help. His Russian military connections paid off big time. All his covert op experience, too. He wasn't working pro bono, of course, but he went above and beyond the call. The Patriots were a threat to everyone, not just America. He got that.
And when Paradise Lost disbanded, he formed a new outfit and got them all work.
Most of them, anyway, including me.
Did you ever consider another line of work? Something non-military, I mean?
I'm a cyborg, Courtney. What am I gonna do? Drive an ice cream truck? I can pass as normal from a distance, but up close, anyone can tell it's artificial skin. Good jobs aren't easy to come by these days, even for non-cyborgs, and I've got a family to feed. Besides, I've been fighting my whole life. It's just who I am.
Sorry, I didn't mean to pry.
So, Courtney, you've heard my story. What about you? How'd you end up at Maverick?
Me? Well, it's funny. I was a business major, actually. Thought I'd go for an MBA. When I was in school, there was a lot of talk about the widening gap between rich and poor. I figured I'd join the 1% and never have to worry about money again. Pretty noble, huh? Anyway, around then you started hearing all about this war economy stuff on the news. I was, disgusted, I guess. Disillusioned, for sure.
And that changed your mind?
It wasn't just the war stuff that bothered me. It's everything it represented. How so much of what the first world enjoys comes at the expense of third world people. The more I researched, the more I realized how bad things are. Underreported, too. After that, money wasn't such a priority anymore. I know how trite that sounds, but it's true. I wasn't naive, though. I knew living in some hippie commune or going Amish wouldn't change anything. So I started looking for a career where I felt I might actually have an impact.
You didn't worry about working at a PMC? Becoming part of the problem?
Well, I wasn't going to sign up with just anybody. But not all PMCs are bad, you know? Some of them, sure. They'll do anything for a buck, no questions asked. That's why someone has to stand up to them. Protect the innocent from those guys.
That's us in a nutshell. So you did your homework and found Maverick.
Honestly, it was more dumb luck than anything else. I had a friend who knew I was interested in this kind of work who was also friends with Kevin. They introduced us, we set up a meeting, and here I am.
That's right. I always forget you and Kev went to the same school. Huh. Definitely not your typical path to joining a PMC, that's for sure.
I really am here to fix the world. I know it's a cliche, but there it is.
So how's it been since you joined Maverick, Courtney? About what you expected?
Not even close. I had no idea what I was signing up for. You deal in a lot of expensive weapons and equipment that can save people's lives. But at the same time, you can't just ignore the bottom line. You catch yourself measuring lives in dollars and cents.
Yeah, the business side can get pretty messy.
Messy is right. But I won't just ignore it. I can't make informed decisions without confronting the ugly realities.
Not an easy burden to bear, Courtney.
Well, if it ever gets to be too much, I'll reconsider. But for now, I'm fine. I can handle it.
Remember now, Raiden, left hands. Recover as many as you can.
I got it, Doc. I got it. I'll bring back all the flash memory you can handle.
Holographic memory. It's very different from standard semiconductor memory, you know.
Yeah. But it's still solid-state storage, right?
Well, yes, but they are perhaps more different than they are similar. Holographic memory utilizes the same optical interference that holograms rely upon.
Right. That images used to appear 3D.
Traditional media reads and writes bits on a two-dimensional surface in linear fashion. Holographic memory, however, does this in 3 dimensions, using light at different angles.
And that gives you what?
Speed. It can read over a gigabit of data in a second. And capacity. A 2-inch square cube of lithium niobate crystal can store 4 terabytes of data. It is also highly resilient against data loss caused by damage to any part of its media. This is because the bit information is not localized, but used as an optical diffractor across the medium. For battle data, there is no better type of storage.
Beats having a hard drive clacking away inside your arm anyway.
Indeed. Spinning media. Hard to imagine we ever put up with such nonsense.
So, Doc, what kind of data can you extract from those left hands anyway?
Oh, all manner of information. But the short list? Energy consumption, damage level, intracranial and blood pressure, blood sugar, other vitals, GPS history, speed and acceleration data, radio and optical readings, recorded computations from the internal expert battle support system.
Doc.
Time-stamped readings of distortion and acceleration gauges whenever the body was impacted. Stress is applied to the CNT muscle fibers in all 4 limbs, as well as any localized breakdowns.
All right, Doc.
Power consumption rates, remaining battery charge, type and amount of weaponry used, codec logs and wavelengths, voice transcripts, encryption methods.
Okay, Doc, okay. Sorry I asked.
As a field of technology, cyborg warfare is still in its infancy, you know. It is my duty as an engineer to collect and analyze as much data as possible for every conceivable situation. The resulting database will help drive future technology, both modifications and advances.
Makes sense. But why the left hand? Why store it all there?
Accessibility. A unit can remove it with its own right hand, or it can be recovered if the unit is damaged. I would advise you not to remove your own holographic storage, however, unless absolutely necessary. To facilitate recording of everything you see, hear, and so on, it is tied directly to your cranial nerves. So, each time the storage is connected or disconnected, your hippocampus is stimulated. This can result in memory loss, flashbacks, and all manner of unpleasant effects.
Yeah, I have some experience with that. It's a little more than unpleasant.
Raiden. Ambulatory unmanned gears detected in sewer network.
What? desperados already spotted us?
Negative. These UGs are not engaged in proper perimeter security. Even were the lab anticipating our assault, they would not set up patrols down here. It is too far from the lab to be effectively guarded.
So what are they doing down here?
Judging by their behavior, I believe they are gathering AI behavioral learning data.
Meaning?
With Neuro AI, there is no delineation between hardware and software. You cannot simply extract the learning data from one AI and insert it into another. In order to prepare a UG's AI for deployment, each must learn its duties on an individual basis.
So they're using a Mexican sewer as their training ground?
No, it would be impractical to implement on-the-field training for every AI in their force. In most cases, AIs are fed simulated data sets plus feedback based on their chosen actions. Put another way, they engage in VR training.
So then why are they here?
I believe they are collecting data to improve upon their VR training code. To build a better VR regimen, they must go out in the field to experiment and gather data. It is probable they are using the sewers to help improve their AI's behavior in enclosed spaces.
That's the sort of subcontracting work this lab does?
It appears likely.
Oh, great. And here I was hoping the worst we'd have to deal with is toxic waste.
Unfortunately, not.
Wolf? You're a one-of-a-kind prototype, right?
Correct. I was originally conceived as a weapon to replace humans and cyborgs. Conversation and intelligent decision-making were deemed essential to the role. The project was eventually cancelled after 3 years in development.
Why?
I have intelligence, but I lack a specific quality essential to any combatant.
What's that?
Brutality. I am not human, thus I lack the brutality inherent to humanity. I was shut down, then revived, apparently on Sundowner's orders.
Sundowner? But what's he want with you?
Unknown. A manifestation of his sense of humor, perhaps. As a machine, I am more sensitive to my fellow man than an actual fellow man. This amused him.
Guy has an odd sense of humor. So, you were under Mistral's command all this time?
I originally took orders from Sundowner, but not for long. As a novelty, I did not last. Mistral saw more potential in me.
What'd she see?
Unknown. However, she apparently enjoys the company of dogs. She demanded 100% obedience. As long as it was given, she treated me well.
She was looking for companionship?
That I cannot say. I still have relatively little communication experience with humans. My ability to read emotions not explicitly expressed by speech is lacking. I see a maintenance catwalk. Use it to conceal yourself if necessary.
There's the riding I know.
Right. There is a boy in these sewers.
refugee is called a raptor. I hear they are typically deployed in groups. Concentrate too much on one, and you leave yourself open to attack from the others. You need to keep situational awareness at all times against them, Raiden.
Ah, the Raptor, yeah? A UG designed to operate in groups. Their AI is such that they are aware of and commiserate with their peers. If a Raptor they identify as one of their own goes offline, they respond with a sort of primitive anger.
Like a wild animal might respond in the natural world.
Indeed. In typical UG optical neuro AIs, the section corresponding to the cerebral neocortex is, well, it's quite a bit smaller than a human brain. They truly are closer to beast than man. You will need to do some damage to a raptor before you can cut them to shreds. And you will want to make sure the situation is ideal before you do strike the final blow on any one of them.
¿Estás bien?
What you say?
Oh.
Me a Guyanese from Guyana. You speak English?
Yeah, I'm from America. Call me Raiden.
Me name George, like Georgetown.
George.
And just like all damn America president.
Yeah. So what are you doing here?
Me? What the rest of you do here? You lose the map of Ninja Hideout, Ninja Man?
No, I'm looking for bad guys.
Ah, damn Skunter research lab.
You know about it?
Me know me now go back. Hey, you're not one of them skunt, nah? Nah, I guess you're alright. If you're a cyborg, you know who they is?
Sort of. What happened to you?
Oh, maybe live on the street, rake and scrape for a bob, nah? Then this good need dressed like the mafia say, hey boy, you want a job? What the worst gonna happen, nah? But that mother scum don't put me on a ras boat. They pack us all a big dirty container. Next thing we know, we're here at that zombie lab.
All kids? Like you?
Yeah, a lot of boy. But then me been over here what them skunt wanna do. Snuff us out. And got all the organ.
So you ran?
You shame me not a bad-ass robot ninja man, same as you. Me been strongest cyborg ever. Warlock all them phantoms in black clothes that eye pass me.
Starting to sound like a bad guy yourself.
Just playing, nah? Me done plenty bad thing. But me not kill no man. Nah, never.
Good.
We tried to warn the boy. I say, IOD's brain gonna get cut out. Run your ass out of there. But them boy with me no understand. They like Spanish or something. So me the only one for escape. Then that machine come after me and
I know the rest. George, I need every detail about how you escaped.
Oh.
So the kid got into the sewers through a drainage channel?
Yeah, he says the channel is super tight, but there's some kind of shutter next to it.
Got it. That must be where they dump the waste.
There's something else. It sounds like a Desperado exec was on site yesterday. If a Sentry Cyborg was on hand for the meeting.
You should be able to review their video log, provided you can find the server access terminal. That would give us the evidence we need, as well as a little peek at the level of their technology.
So what about the kid?
I made sure the area was secure and told him to sit tight. Can you pick him up?
Sure. I'll send a couple agents for him. You just focus on getting into that lab. If what he said is true about the organs, we need to hurry.
Agreed. Riding out.
Heavy UG activity ahead. It is possible they are conducting test operations while the lab is closed.
They're not going to make it easy to get into that lab. Is there some way you could sneak past? It's a box. How's that going to help? Oh, it's for medical supplies. That could work, actually.
Boris, we've got kids being held inside this lab. I'm getting them out of there.
Copy that. I will discuss with NGO what to do with them afterward.
What are you thinking?
Well, this is difficult. I imagine these are homeless children, taken from streets. Likely they have no home to return to. But we cannot dump them back on streets. We could look for adoptions in the US, but some of these kids may be criminals. Could be drug addicts, HIV positive, not so easy to find homes.
Yeah, wasn't easy for me either. The guys at the relief center were always worried I'd cause problems for my foster family.
The alternative is putting them in an institution until they grow up, but this has issues as well. Most are already past capacity. Taking on this many street kids at one time would be impossible. Also, it's a matter of fairness. Is it fair to take in these kids here when millions more are dying? I imagine this is why rescue was not part of our contracted mission. The human rights NGOs, they know they can't rescue them all. They must take a wide view and confront the problem of traffickers, not their victims.
But we can't just sit here and let them pull kids to pieces.
On this, we agree. For now, rescue the children. We'll worry about the fallout later. Raiden, I said earlier this is an infiltration mission. But if it comes to combat when rescuing the children, so be it. If enemy cyborgs attack, you are free to respond with all available force.
I figured.
Attacking first, that would be a gray area, legally speaking. But I doubt anyone would take us to court over it.
Yeah, I doubt it too.
Just keep your hands off all non-combatants. That would violate international law, not to mention morals of company.
That kid said he's from Guyana. That's on the Caribbean side of South America, right? Know anything about it?
A little, though I'm more of an expert on Africa than the Americas. To be exact, Guyana's sandwiched between Venezuela and Suriname, with Brazil on its southern border. Of course, the Venezuelan border is sheer rainforest. There aren't even any roads through it. You have to cross the Guyana Shield to get to Brazil, too.
So it's pretty isolated from the rest of the continent.
Most inland connections run through Suriname, opposite of Venezuela. Beyond Suriname is French Guyana. The three countries are referred to as the Guyanas, and the entire region's got its own unique culture sphere.
The Guyanas? I've heard the name, but I don't really know it at all.
Same here. I do know the region's a lot smaller than Brazil, or even Venezuela for that matter. As you know, most South American countries have Spanish as their official language. Brazil uses Portuguese. Guyana, though, uses English. Suriname uses Dutch, and French Guyana uses French, naturally.
A kind of divide-and-conquer approach to colonialism, huh?
Yeah. They're all independent now except French Guyana, though. Sort of like what you see in Africa. I did some research after you met George. Culturally, at least, Guyana's more Caribbean than South American.
Yeah? He looked a little Asian to me.
There's a lot of immigrants from India living there. They were both British colonies, after all. It's a lot more influence from the UK than India, though. I mean, look at George's name, after all.
An English-speaking South American of Indian background.
Everything good over there, Raiden? You, don't seem like you're in much of a hurry.
Give me some time. I've got a lot of intel to gather. Those brains are from the street kids they picked up in Central and South America, right? Abducted by traffickers and sold to Desperado.
Right. And now it looks like they're selling off their organs.
That part of the world's full of homeless kids.
True, though really just about every nation's full of them. Except the richest ones, that is. You see a lot of them across the African and Asian continents, too. Estimates put the worldwide number of homeless children at anywhere from tens to hundreds of millions.
Kind of a broad range. I guess it's hard to do solid research in the kinds of places where you'd find them.
True enough. The way the Human Rights NGO put it, though, it's hard to define what a street child is. There's lots of different types. Some are on the street because they ran away from home, but really they can return any time. Some work on the street but go home at night. And some kids literally live on the street with no family.
Go home at night? Those kids still count as street children?
Well, the point is that there's no set definition. Everyone involved has their own take on the issue. Without a clear definition, estimates inevitably end up all over the map.
Makes sense.
If you're going to talk about street kids, though, I think you need to differentiate. There are the kids who live on the street and the ones that just work it. Little things can make a huge difference if you've got a home and a family to fall back on, even if you're just running a fruit stand or shoe shine operation. Kind of presumptuous for me to say which is better, I guess, but you can't just ignore that aspect.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine how helpless you feel when you've got no one to fall back on.
Yeah. Opinions similarly divided on the child labor issue, too. Some say all underage labor should be banned. Others think the decision should be left up to the family. I mean, sure, kids shouldn't be exploited or pressed into military service. If nothing else, the right to an education's got to be protected. But should a kid be banned from helping out at his dad's store? What if a family's so desperate that it would starve without the money their children bring in?
Yeah, it's definitely not cut and dry.
I can't believe what they're doing in there. Guess I shouldn't be so surprised, huh?
Guess not.
Are you gonna help them?
No other choice.
I'll try to help look for someplace that might take them in.
Thanks.
By the way, I didn't know you spoke Spanish.
I've got the U.S. Army to thank for that. I was in a group called Foxhound, although it doesn't exist on paper. We were isolated from the other soldiers. Day after day of VR training.
I heard about that.
It's not like it was all VR, though. Special Forces guys need advanced physical and communication skills. I had to do all the basic training and language schoolwork, too. We even trained in the Afghan village set up at Fort Polk.
The Afghan village?
They built a mock urban area on a base in Louisiana for training purposes. It was a hell of a lot more realistic than the VR training we had back then. Nothing compared to cyborg training, though. Having it jacked right in like that.
They say it's so realistic now you can feel your blade cutting through flesh.
You know much about Guyana, Courtney?
Not really. I know the name, but don't ask me anything about what it's like.
You mean you haven't even tried the food?
Nope. No research trips this time. Besides, who knew we'd be running into any Guyanese here? I'm looking now, though. Looks like a lot of their diet is seafood. It's a small coastal nation, so it's probably easy to get fresh fish across the whole country. A lot of their dishes use Indian spices. That's where a lot of their immigrants come from.
Fish with curry, huh? Sounds tasty. But maybe you could finish reading all about the food there after the mission.
Huh? Oh, it just, came up while I was reading up on Guyana in general.
Right. Well, let me know if you find anything actually useful.
It just popped up in the search results, I swear.
Very well done, Raiden.
Oh, thanks, I guess.
That Raptor may have been smaller than an Irving, but its potential is simply remarkable. Defeating it is a fine demonstration of your body's abilities. I'm quite happy to see it working so well.
Well, thanks, Doc. I'm quite happy I'm not dead, too.
How did it feel to fight it?
Well, an Irving has more strength and firepower, but this guy was a lot harder to keep a beat on. Not that big of a deal, but you definitely don't want to let your guard down around one.
Indeed. A combination Irving and tripod force would be a formidable foe in any urban warfare scenario. The only problem is cost. A PMC would have to be well funded indeed to even think about acquiring the necessary numbers to make it work. There are situations where an Irving may be overkill, but tripods cannot provide the necessary force.
So the Raptor was built to fill that gap?
Indeed. Its basic design is a streamlined, more compact version of the Irving. Furthermore, it uses the same control system as the tripods, which helps keep costs low. It can use standard personnel weaponry as is, and its armor has been componentized. That is to say, the user can expand its defensive capability as needed. It's fit for standard military operations, anti-terror missions, even regular patrol and police duty. A most admirable jack of all trades. Adorable too, wouldn't you say?
Not the first word that comes to mind.
Ah, yes. My apologies. I can't help but marvel at a well-made machine when I see one. There's no need to be jealous, though. Your body is still quite impressive as well.
Yes.
How is Wolf faring?
Hard to say just yet. Seems like he's doing okay.
Good. I'm so pleased my repairs were effective.
He seems happy enough, but I don't know. Can a machine really be happy? Maybe he's just being directed by his programming to behave that way.
And what is wrong with that? If something you do for someone else is appreciated, it makes you happy. It's a perfectly normal reaction, one that applies whether you're man or machine, and whether or not you have intelligence.
I guess so.
When you watch a film, does it not make you happy when good things happen to the heroes in the end?
I'm not seeing the connection.
Well, those heroes are not really happy. They're just following a script written by someone else. The actors have human intelligence, but the characters themselves do not. It is a facade, an imitation, and yet we still feel an emotional connection. It does not matter that it is make-believe. Now, I certainly don't know whether the AI you encountered in the past was neural or not, but Wolf most certainly is. And with a neural AI, it is not so simple as working off a set computer program. You can define intelligence however you like, but personally, I see no reason not to say Wolf has it. It possesses a neural AI structurally similar to the human brain. It has learned enough of the world around it to be capable of human speech. Truly, an astounding artificial intelligence is at work here. One, I suspect, could make for substantial business opportunities given the chance. Think of the possibilities, Raiden. What do you think a truly intelligent AI could do for the world?
You know, Doc, if you're such a big believer in cyborgs, why haven't you made the jump yourself?
An excellent question. There is one very good reason for this.
And that is? Wait. Is there some problem with the tech you didn't tell me about?
No problem with the technology. The issue is I would be required to be separated from my original body before I could be transferred.
And? So what?
Well, then there's no way for me to oversee installation into my new body.
You could have someone else do it.
Amateure, hacks. I would not trust the average cybernetic surgeon to repair my toaster oven. I possess one of the world's foremost minds on this field, Raiden. This is not a boast, it is a fact. Entrusting that to someone less talented, imagine a great architect asking an infant to build his new home.
No offense, but I mean you're just assembling some...
Raiden, this is not like putting together your bookshelf. It is quite literally brain surgery. More than that, in fact. There is an art to doing it correctly.
All right, Doc, all right. I hear you.
I suppose I should not expect you to understand. Regardless, I am in fine health for now. Perhaps by the time my body begins to decline, there will be others that might be trusted with the duty. But which body to choose? Perhaps a young female frame to surprise all my colleagues.
To surprise your colleagues, right.
It appears you have entered the sewer's maintenance corridor. It connects individual water conduits for inspection and work access. Additionally, it is used for material storage during expansion and construction work.
How do you know all this?
These are all logical assumptions.
Let me ask you something. What do you think you're doing here? I mean, why are you working with me?
Because I choose to. I owe a debt, and I wish to repay it.
A debt, huh? How human of you.
I contest that statement. Many humans possess little or no sense of obligation at all. And many are entirely willing to trample their fellow man for personal gain.
I know. But is that it? I mean, you're willing to follow me, put yourself at risk just because of that? What do you think of what I'm doing here, for example?
A delicate question. I do find it difficult to rationalize your mission to rescue the children. If you wish to save children in need, there are hundreds of millions of others equally in need.
Thanks for the support.
However, we must still uncover the full extent of Desperado's activities. And as such, it is meaningless to debate best practices without sufficient information.
All right then. No more questions, Your Honor.
That is Vodomjeka, a water strider, an unmanned air cushion vehicle built for water ops. You do not have to worry about its leg attacks, but that flamethrower is very dangerous. You cannot parry fire with that blade. Fall back before it unleashes.
A water strider. I do not believe the armor is all that thick. Still, you likely need to slice away at it before you can make effective use of blade mode.
Nice hiding spot. Wonder where you learned that from. So, fake wall projection. Pretty well hidden, I gotta say.
That thing I just fought. Russian?
You have a good eye, Raiden.
I saw it on some military news site. Article was in Russian, so I didn't get much more.
You should have used machine translation. Pretty accurate these days, no? Though not so good with the agglutinative languages like Kazakh and Japanese.
I'm fine with an overview.
I thought a cyborg like you would be more net savvy than that, but alright. That UG comes from Alakine OKB. They worked on a Kranoplan, ground effect vehicles. They call it Vodomierka, Water Strider.
Makes sense. But what's it doing in Mexico?
Well, you know, Cold War has been over for 25 years. Not so strange for US PMCs to use Russian weapons now. After ATT was ratified, it became harder to send UGs across borders. But there's always loopholes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what it was made for. I mean, why strap a jet engine on a ground-based UG?
Simple. You cyborgs, you have superhuman speed and agility. To counteract that, the options are to overwhelm with firepower or match that maneuverability.
So it's a specialized anti-cyborg UG.
Not exclusively, but certainly cyborg combat was at least a very important design goal. That flamethrower is also a very good anti-cyborg weapon. They mix monomethyl hydrazine with the gel fuel, making the temperature up to 2000 degrees. Unlike gunfire, it can damage target through armor. And of course you can't cut it with an HF blade.
The arms race never ends, huh?
This would appear to be the UG maintenance area. You should find a terminal there. Something they use to upload mission parameters to the UGs.
And something I can use to access the lab's main server?
Perhaps. But first you need to take a dump.
Wait, what?
A dump? A digital optical output mounted proxy. You'll need one to interface with the terminal. Most any UG should suffice. A tripod or the like.
I'll see what I can come up with. How do I use it?
Simply connect to it. You should be able to use your communications outlet to control the proxy UG.
Alright, let's give it a shot.
Is it over?
For now, yeah. But that room, Those were cyborg brain casings.
Duh, we saw.
George said they were harvesting organs from kids.
Yes, this must be why they are trafficking children. Perhaps other organs are being sold elsewhere, but they are definitely taking the brains.
Jesus, are they making these kids into cyborgs?
Wait, the cyborgs you've been fighting, did they seem like they might be kids? You said earlier that child soldiers have a telltale approach to combat.
Yeah, but I didn't see it here. Those weren't kids.
So what? Desperados just doing the surgeries there?
We've got to do something about all those brains. And the other kids George was talking about. He just escaped a few hours ago. They couldn't have taken all their brains out that fast.
True. There could still be a bunch of kids they haven't touched yet.
I better move. I'm worried about the kids they haven't got to yet. But what about those brain units? They're just brains, but they're still alive. I won't just abandon them.
I will discuss with Doctor. There must be artificial bodies they can use, not like the combat type you have. Maintenance must be considered, of course. But with today's technology, they can at least live comfortably enough as cyborgs.
Yeah, maybe. Physically, anyway. Society may say otherwise.
Yes, but we will worry about such problems after they are rescued. For now, though, let us concentrate on the intact children first.
Man, I couldn't have imagined anyone would cut the brains out of kids.
What are they even doing this for? Why make them into cyborgs?
I don't know. They say child soldiers are both bolder and more obedient than adults, but...
They are, on both counts. But the surgeries alone would cost a fortune, not to mention all the training.
Yeah, I don't get it either. For now, you just look for the kids they haven't operated on yet. We come in too late on this, and things are gonna get a whole lot messier.
You were talking earlier about runaways. Kids who could go back home if they wanted.
Right. A lot of times they're fleeing problems at home. For a kid like that, life on the street's dangerous, sure, but maybe better than the abuse they got at home. They can go home if they feel like it, but they choose not to.
That's a whole other level of tragedy.
It's a pretty common case in Latin America, as opposed to Africa, where you've got a lot of war orphans. Kids like those sometimes get victimized by the people around them, even killed, sometimes by the cops. That's what happened in Brazil in 1993, the Candelaria massacre. 8 kids were killed.
How could families abuse their own kids? What's the trigger?
I was wondering that too. I did some reading up on it. A lot of times the mother remarries and her husband ends up abusing the kids she brought along. It's actually a pretty common story in first world countries too. The mother's too scared to do anything. She just wants her new man to love her. A lot of the abusers are addicted to drugs or alcohol too, leading to neglect. If their parents can't be bothered to feed them, kids are forced to hit the streets for food and money.
And these are the kids Desperados rounding up? Kinda makes you ashamed to be a human being.
Yeah, it's definitely evil, all right. But
even if we got them out, it's not like they've got happy homes to return to, right?
Exactly. Most of them, well, a lot of them don't make it to see adulthood. Or they join gangs, end up exploiting the next generation. It's a vicious cycle.
Our only option's to follow the money trail, find out who's profiting from all this, and put them out of business permanently.
Yeah. Guess that starts now, huh?
I can't believe they're extracting children's brains. Can't we do anything?
I don't know. That's something I need to discuss with Doc. For now, I gotta worry about the kids they haven't operated on yet. As long as they're held hostage, no way am I gonna be able to get the brains out of here.
Yeah, you better hurry.
What do you know about these brain units, Doc?
It is a type of canister conceived to transport a cyborg's brain in a physiologically secure state. It's designed for quick, lower-risk implantation. Each one is equipped with a rudimentary environmental control system. So long as power is uninterrupted, the unit can protect the brain from temperature changes and other fluctuations in the local environment. I would imagine they regulate the brain supply of oxygen and glucose as well.
That's what I thought. I've seen these before, but I didn't think there were that many of them out there.
Oh, manufacturing's exploded alongside the rise of cyborgs, though they're still made by only one company. The chassis also functions as an impact liner, absorbing impact and preventing causing organic damage. It's durable against impacts up to 700 G, which would be enough to permanently damage an unprotected brain.
Sounds like military spec stuff.
Well, it would certainly be expected to withstand gunshots or explosions, but the liner is primarily intended to keep the brain safe in the event of an accident during transport. These canisters are quite functional overall and clearly designed for mass production. Costs, you know. However, human brains come in many sizes. Thus, the unit is on the larger side to compensate for a wide range. This unit cannot be used if, as in your case, the subject wishes to retain his original human visage. The brain must instead be transplanted directly into a precision-fitted skull casing. Such customization, of course, does not come cheap and does nothing to enhance the cyborg's battle skills. It's an option beyond the reach of most. You've surely noticed your cyborg opponents tend to resemble each other. That is part of the reason.
So they're extracting the brains here, then transporting them somewhere else in these things.
Into the US, most likely. Brains alone, after all, would not violate the UN Arms Trade Treaty. I imagine these are intended for implant into bodies manufactured in America.
This is crazy.
Have you located any tripods, Raiden?
None around here.
They may be clustered near a single spot. A maintenance area, perhaps. Have you checked there?
I will now.
You have entered the lab.
Yeah. You're falling behind, Wolf.
My apologies.
It's fine. Just get here as soon as you can.
I have failed in my duties as a scout. There is no excuse. This has never happened to me before.
I said it's fine, Wolf. It's no big deal. Just get here ASAP, okay?
Thank you. I shall redeem myself. I swear that to you.
Okay. So, how much do you know about how Desperados operated?
I was at the lowest possible tier of information disclosure, beneath standard contractors. As it was explained to me, contractors need at least some information divulged to them. I did not. As a machine, I had no contract and no rights. I was kept in the dark. My knowledge is no deeper than what is already generally known throughout the industry.
Couldn't you hack into their network or something? You're an AI.
Perhaps, if I had free access to a computer. Also, hands. Those are necessary to operate a keyboard.
Yeah, but you are a computer.
It is not so simple. There are protocol issues. Neural AIs are far closer in structure to the human brain than standard von Neumann architecture computers.
Well, I would have tried anyway. Did you have contact with anyone besides Mistral?
I engaged in tandem field operations with Sam on several occasions. However, he was even more difficult for me to comprehend than Mistral.
I bet. So you said it took 3 years to learn how to speak, right? Given enough time, could any AI be taught that too?
I cannot assert that. A neuro AI is only capable of learning new things, not growing and replenishing its own cells. Thus, each neuro AI is equipped with a predetermined capacity that cannot be altered. My AI contains 90 billion neurons, more than a human being. A normal LQ-84 model possesses only 1.6 billion.
That's a big difference.
Relatively, yes. I doubt any amount of learning period would enable an LQ-84 to speak. It would be similar to attempting to teach a dog how to converse. A combination of appropriate instruction and an ample neuron count are required to accomplish the feat.
So if someone else made a neuro AI with the same capacity or more...
Other AIs as conversant as I are a possibility, yes. Robotic pets with neuro AIs are already on the market, and I understand research and development are underway to create a model capable of conversation. Do not be surprised if such a pet becomes available before too long.
If that becomes commonplace, hard to imagine.
Is it? The human race has willingly embraced all of its other inventions so far. Steam engines, electricity, the internet, cyborgs. Perhaps the day will come when conversing with AIs, too, is considered perfectly normal.
Maybe. As normal as being a cyborg is now, at least.
The most most significant challenge would be in crafting the appropriate training regimen. The only way to establish an effective learning system is through sheer trial and error, and it will take even more time to virtualize and optimize that system for mass production. One could say my own existence is due in no small part to simple luck. Of course, I was a failure as a weapon as well.
Failure or not, you're better off than an AI that knows nothing but how to fight.
I am pleased to hear you say that.
So you want me to remote pilot this thing?
Indeed. Once you physically breached server security, we can take care of the rest from here.
It's a strange feeling. It feels like it's really me scurrying around.
Well, you have hacked into all its sensors. Of course it should feel this way.
Listen, Doc, if my body's ever destroyed, promise you won't stick me in one of these things.
Well, I'm in no position to make such promises, you know. Especially not before you find the terminal.
All right, I get the idea. Should be no problem. Stealth is my specialty, after all. Doc, the tripods Mistral had, they could leach electrolytes from my fuel cells, right? Can I do the same with the cyborgs here?
But why would you want to do this, Raiden? Too much energy and you would most certainly explode.
Oh, right. I guess there's that.
It took quite an effort to hack into our little friend there, you know. I would take good care of him.
So, autonomous gears against remote gears? Which one do you think's got the advantage?
Well, you cannot make a valid comparison between the two so easily, you know. You must take the relative specs of the models into account, the skills of the operator, and so forth.
I suppose so.
All things considered, remote gears do indeed hold the advantage, in most cases at least.
And I get the feeling you're gonna tell me why.
This type of remote weapon can be traced back to Germany, you know. World War II. The Wehrmacht employed a remote-controlled mine called Goliath with tank-like treads on either side. The operator could send it over 600 meters into enemy territory before detonating its payload.
Germans certainly did have a knack for weird new weapons back then.
If I may continue. Now, UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, began to proliferate in the 90s. They were equipped with cameras, enabling the operator with a much greater degree of control. But it took 20 more years before autonomous craft would gain wide acceptance.
Makes sense. The AI wasn't good enough until just recently, right?
Correct. Target location and course correction were not a problem, of course. GPS solved all that. But target selection or base defense, these types of objectives require extremely complex AI routines. It was only with the advent of optical neuro-AI that such a thing became possible. Neuro-AI was developed using a completely new paradigm in computer architecture, you know. Not the von Neumann model, which served as a standard up till that point. Neuro-AI was modeled after the human brain. It can learn and mature entirely on its own.
Like the Patriot's AI, just on a smaller scale.
Indeed. It cannot copy or rewrite data, but the structure does solve several problems quite well. The frame and symbol grounding problems, to be exact. It gives the AI flexibility within unknown states. But such a system still lags behind the average human in speedy decision-making. Also, as they cannot converse, they cannot demand or accept surrender, or avoid such unnecessary conflict. And as you know, such tactics are often the most effective strategy for victory. So yes, the fact that they do not require a human soldier as a pilot is an advantage, purely in terms of resources. But in a hypothetical battle between two identical UGs, the remote gear tops the autonomous model, no question.
Got it. I'll keep that in mind.
Of course, even the remote gears have some AI these days to handle balance and other minor details. So, the line between remote and autonomous UGs grows less and less distinct every day. Haha, splendid! It is all ours. Now, use it to locate a data input terminal.
These guys are pretty jumpy now. Any funny business, and they might just open fire.
Try latching onto cyborgs' heads from behind. Then, an electric shock should knock them unconscious. That terminal is most likely designed to download mission data and such into the UGs. Let's try using it to access the lab server. Raiden, I found something. In one of the Sentry Cyborg's visual logs. Guess who shows up?
Patch it through.
Right away.
You do, Hank. You've already commenced the outline.
The Sears program?
Same old Georgie boy used on the kids in Liberia. Of course, it's light straight to the brain now. Feels as real as anything else.
Your work is astonishing.
And your work is late. We need to sit before our cover is blown. We've got some assholes snooping around.
We just do not have the full quantity yet. Each brain has its own unique requirements. It's not like we can just pop them out with an ice cream scoop.
All right.
Make your point. Oh, thank you for understanding.
Send what you have now. I'll destroy any unharvested inventory.
Okay? But have you any idea what they cost?
Last I checked, children weren't exactly rare in the part of the world. Millions of them, in fact. You can get more once we set up a new lab. They lead lives of hunger and pain. We're performing a service here for them and the cities they burden.
But just gathering the donors required a significant investment.
Yes, you'll get the money. Accounting will be in touch.
Gracias. I assure you we will dispose of our inventory the instant we can confirm payment.
Are we done here? I've got a full slate today. Tecumseh is a demanding mistress, and America has suffered long enough.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Let me see you out.
You see that, Kev? Monty's killer.
Desperado's chief of operations goes by Sundowner, the Californian wildfire.
The kids.
Think we're too late?
Only one way to find out. George was still alive. Maybe the payment hasn't come through yet.
Maybe. But you heard what he said. They've already started some brains on VR training.
There must be more than just what I found here. What about the VIP in the suit?
I'll find out. He definitely seemed familiar.
Right. I'm going after the kids. Any idea who the guy in the suit is, Boris?
No. I feel like maybe I have seen him before. But I am not so up to date on US news like Kevin.
Isn't that kind of stuff important given the business you're in? And Maverick's based in Nevada. I know you're only there a few times a year, but still.
This is why I have staff in America. Excellent workers. They run place for me. No questions asked.
That's not really what I'm talking about, Boris. Who's the guy in the suit?
Doc's on it. He's running his face through for a match as we speak. But we only got a glimpse. Hard to pull a full set of features to match a photo with. We're gonna need some more time.
Got it.
He definitely looks familiar. But I have no idea where I would have seen him.
Too bad we can't run a search on your brain.
Sometimes it might be nice.
Know anything about the guy in the suit, Courtney?
Not a clue. Sorry. I feel like I might have seen him somewhere, but...
Yeah, it's a pretty common-looking face.
Doc's analyzing all his facial features right now. He should have something for you soon.
All right. I've got a few things to do here anyway. Yep. Doc, they're VR training those kids' brains.
Indeed, much as one might expect. Simply installing someone in a cyborg body does nothing to enhance their neural acuity. True combat efficacy requires the right knowledge and the right operant conditioning.
Yeah, but this isn't just normal army training. This is the Sears program.
Indeed, the instructor sends data directly into the brain. The experience is almost impossible to discern from real life.
No, Doc. I'm not talking about the VR tech. The training program's completely different.
It is only VR, Raiden. They are not actually hurt.
Well, right. That's because they don't have bodies to get hurt with. But they still feel pain. Without that, it just isn't realistic enough. That, and with this training, you're the one doing the killing. Not just the soldiers, innocent people, POWs, civilians.
I see. So that is what the Sears program is.
You ever see the guy in the suit before?
I am sorry. No.
Nothing in your database?
I have no database, Raiden. The symbol grounding capabilities of my Neuro AI allow me to identify faces in only the vaguest of terms. I can judge whether I think I may have seen him before, but I do not have the accuracy of a database.
Well, that's ridiculous. You're an AI.
An AI modeled after the human brain, and thus as flexible and occasionally vague as any humans. Of this man, however, I have no recollection. I do not believe I have encountered him before. Most likely.
Oh, man.
Bad news, right? We can't find George.
What?
Maybe the coordinates you sent us were off?
No way. I merged the GPS location of our entry with all my movement data from that point on.
This is bad.
You think they got to him first?
I don't know. I'll have our guys sweep the area.
Thanks. I better keep moving.
The bastard is blocking the way. Push that thing back. Ah, the Grad, yes. A Ukrainian UG. Of all the places to run into one, eh? Well, first thing is first. Drive it back and out of your way.
Damn, that thing's packing some heat. Probably goes without saying, but you need to stick to cover as you approach that bad boy.
That is a Grad, a UG developed in the Ukraine.
UG? Looks like a standard pillbox to me.
I have seen blueprints for a pillbox able to operate in tandem with infantry forces. I cannot be sure if this is a result, but I do know the Grad is capable of bipedal movement. In pillbox mode, the main cannon is also quite lethal. Approach carefully. Use cover to make your way to it. You can deflect both the missiles and main cannon fire in blade mode, Raiden. Keep it as an option if you cannot flee quickly enough. Also, the shaped charges in the missiles use the same nanopaste as cyborg repair units. If you find yourself heavily damaged, you may want to attempt slicing some open.
To biped mode. Careful, it is all new battle now. Ah, here is where the Grad really shines. It has wheels in the back of its legs for quick movement. You would not expect speed from such a large UG. Add the firepower and you have a potent foe. Watch for gunfire when it starts moving, and wait for the right moment to close in. Just get as close as you can and keep attacking. Chip away at that armor long enough, and sooner or later you must break through.
The Grad's shield does more than simply provide defense, you know. We have reports of a spinner mechanism that enables its use in close quarters combat.
Reports? Aren't the specs public knowledge?
They are, but it runs on a self-learning AI. As a result, it can be somewhat unpredictable. Nowhere near as powerful as the LQ-84I, of course. Don't expect any deep conversations. Regardless, don't let up when it stops moving, or its shield may catch you unaware.
Right. I knew I'd seen that guy before. Stephen Armstrong. As in Colorado Senator Stephen Armstrong. They're already talking about him as a shoo-in for the nomination in 2020. And get this, 2 years ago, a federal grand jury investigated his ties to a certain private...
World Marshal, one of the biggest PMCs out there. I remember.
The biggest, ever since the Big Five split up. Not to mention the single largest investor in military cyborg R&D in the world. Guess that answers the question of who's backing Desperado.
Marshall and Desperado in bed together. Should make for some fun headlines.
Headlines? This is World Marshal and a U.S. Senator we're talking about. There won't be any headlines. Even without the Patriots filter, no major media outlet will investigate allegations like these. It'd be financial and political suicide.
So we just what? Sit back while they keep carving up kids, stand aside while they build an army of cyborgs? You heard them. We shut down one lab, they build another. They're planning something big, Kev. We can't just wait for it to happen. We need to hit them first and hit them hard where it counts.
No, Raiden, no. I know what you're thinking, and just know. Colorado is in America, and America has these things called laws.
And law enforcement in Denver was privatized and farmed out to...
Marshall, yes, so what? There are still laws, and it's their headquarters, for Christ's sakes. You'd be heading right into the heart of a raging shitstorm.
I didn't say it would be easy. We'll figure it out once the kids are safe.
Jesus Christ. Kevin, out.
So World Marshal is backing Desperado,
You don't exactly sound surprised.
I did not catch it on the nose, but I did have a hunch it was this sort of thing.
Well, you're the boss. What do you think? Can we take them on?
What I think no longer matters here. As Kevin says, we have no legal grounds to stop them. And you? What would you have us do? Storm their headquarters? Kill them all? Will that make you feel better?
No, I mean, look, you heard him. They're already in VR training.
Raiden.
The Patriots may be gone, but it hasn't changed shit in the U.S. A handful of elites still get away with whatever the hell they want.
Raiden, calm down. Focus on rescuing the kids first. We will talk about this later.
Anything on George yet?
No, I think maybe they took him away.
Or worse.
Perhaps. Remember what that man said. There was matter of payment, but he doesn't need to wait for anything here. He can kill those prisoners anytime he wants. And as for escapees, they're more easily killed than captured.
Damn it. I knew I should have stayed with him until our guys showed up.
Raiden, the other children are not safe either. That payment may already have been made for all we know. And they know you're there, too. They may decide to simply dispose of children before they escape. You must hurry.
What do we know about Armstrong?
Plenty. Texas born and raised, played quarterback at UT. He was slated for the pros, but wound up joining the Navy after graduating. Said he wanted to serve his country instead. After that, moved to Colorado. Served in the state senate before getting elected to federal office. But this can probably wait.
World Marshal. I never would have guessed it. I mean, they're huge. They advertise on TV with Hollywood celebs and everything.
Yeah, it builds their brand and influences how the mass media treats them. When a company's got nothing to sell and a huge ad campaign to sell it, that's usually a bad sign.
But I don't know. I thought they were like us. I guess I thought they actually prided themselves on following international law, keeping people safe. A lot of their guys aren't even contractors. They help militaries with logistics support, that kind of thing. I mean, I went to college with people who have jobs there.
Sorry to hear that. Guess the ad campaign worked on them, huh?
So, what now?
First, we rescue those kids. After that, we talk things over with Boris and everyone else.
Gotcha.
That UG, made in the East?
Indeed, the Grad, Russian for hail. It is built by the ally Vishnyovyeki Machine Works Design Bureau in Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine.
That's not easy to remember. Is it an old Soviet firm?
Indeed. Technically, the UG's name is pronounced Grad, the Ukrainian way. But most in the business pronounce it as Grad, Russian style.
Crazy to think I'd find something like that in Mexico, of all places.
Well, drug cartels have been using Russian and Eastern European weapons for quite a while now, you know. Of course, the arms trade treaty should have made importing something that size rather challenging.
Not for whoever's backing these guys, I guess.
I must admit, I never expected to see my magneto-strictive actuators in action again.
Magneto what?
An actuator that takes advantage of the change in shape when certain materials are magnetized. It was one of my many research subjects back in East Germany.
So you think that research made it to the Ukraine and got picked up by the whatever?
Indeed. This great technology made under the communist ideal being used for something like this. My days of adhering to that sort of dogma are long over, but still, it saddens me to see this.
Don't let it bother you, Doc. You made me too, right? And now your latest creation is gonna take them down.
Indeed. I look forward to the day. So, World Marshal was Desperado's benefactor all along, No wonder they were able to deploy cyborgs in such numbers against you.
If they'd already started putting those kids through VR training, is it possible I'm actually fighting some of them here?
From the sound of things, the VR program had only just gotten underway. The brain can only process so much stimuli at once. You can speed up VR training for a UG to some extent, but not for a cyborg. I sincerely doubt they could complete a full training program in such a short time.
Yeah, most of my training in Liberia was on the field, but it took a few months before I was in any way useful in combat.
Indeed. I suppose you'd know more about how child soldiers fight than the rest of us here, Raiden.
Yeah, I guess I'd be able to tell if they were children. Kids do fight differently from adults.
Desperado's backer has been identified. What will you do now, Raiden? Will you attempt to destroy World Marshal?
Kevin's right. It's not that simple.
Both a direct attack and a legal approach present problems. Either course will likely lead to additional conflict.
We can figure it out later. For now, we're getting those kids out.
That remains your intent. I cannot fully agree with that course of action, but I will support your decision. I will continue to scout ahead. George is missing.
Yeah, I should have had you stay back and watch him.
I should have been more cautious as well.
Listen, you should head back to the sewer and help out with the search. I'm gonna keep moving.
Understood.
Artificial blood cryopreserver. They must have begun preparatory freezing.
What do you mean?
That device is filled with synthetic blood plasma. It can slow the metabolism of a harvested organ, circulating this plasma to sustain oxygen levels. You can preserve an arm, a brain, any body part for several hours.
So what are they freezing, and why?
I could not say. Perhaps they plan to sell off the organs of the children they were told to dispose of.
Unbelievable.
You had best hurry, Raiden.
Right.
Shit!
Hey, stop right there!
George! Raiden!
You've heard of chloroform? A potent anesthetic in smaller doses. But breathe too much of it? And adios, muchachos! Break that glass, and I'll blow his brains out! Surrender! Or decide, the needs of the many or the needs of the few.
Raiden, don't worry about me now.
Quiet, pendejo! Surrender! I won't ask again.
George, are you sure?
sure. I'm ready. Me life now so precious. Ting, what if we can take this skunt to hell with me?
Cállate!
That's all I needed to hear.
Stop it! Now! I'll kill him, I swear!
On his way to the Middle East this morning for his scheduled visit with Pakistani President Farouk Salam. The meeting is viewed as an attempt by the U.S. to strengthen relations amidst a surge of anti-American sentiment in the region.
Yo, me ninja brother!
George, good to see you up and about. How you feeling?
Never better, nah? No pain, no more for star while them hunger space eat, and me never ever feel so awake, nah?
That's because your blood sugar levels are being maintained automatically. Beats the hell out of coffee.
Oh! Me been here you go while I got them scone in the base. Why the rasta you not take me with ya, huh?
Damn it, Doc. Sorry, kid. You'd just be in the way.
Aw.
Besides, I thought you didn't want to be a killer, right?
Me don't, but...
Killing isn't fun and games. Remember that.
Right.
That's all I needed to hear.
Now! It yearns to bathe in the blood of your enemies, but you hold it back.
Yeah, just remember that. Sorry, Boris, it's done. Can't have a Maverick employee involved in a corporate raiding now, can we?
You could at least come talk to me.
No. It was time to break away from the old team, Boris. Past time.
You cannot take on martial law by yourself.
I won't sit by while they butcher little kids and ship their parts around like meat. It's sick.
It's not all so simple, right? They import those brains legally. For medical purposes. It's all done.
Being legal doesn't make it right.
Ryder, right?
Hold that thought.
You are not licensed to operate in this area. You're in violation of state and federal law.
Guess you better arrest me then.
183104.7, threatening a peace officer. Deadly force is authorized.
Blocked by barricades. We will proceed through the buildings. You will follow me.
I trust you do not mind my telling George about you, Raiden.
Could have done without that, Doc. He didn't need to know I was here.
Well, there was no reason to conceal that from him. My intention was not to impugn you. He has a right to know. It's not as if he can simply fly over there and meddle in your affairs.
It's throwing off my emotional balance, Doc. Things like that can negatively impact the mission, you know.
However do you mean? You did the right thing, did you not? There's nothing to be ashamed of. George has the best body we can give him right now. And the rest of the children are also safe. And quite content too, I should add. It was your quick decision-making that saves them, Raiden. George's body will require regular maintenance, not to mention a replacement upon reaching adult age. But the expense is more than worth it.
You planning on signing him up with a PMC? Because that's the only job we're good for, as far as I can tell.
Oh, you are quite mistaken there. Just consider it. The power of a machine matched with the nimbleness and creativity of a human. The construction and public works possibilities alone are endless. I saw a news piece on German TV just the other day about a cyborg plumber, in fact. Let's not forget about elder care either. One needs great strength to bathe and care for the bedridden. But it's also very delicate work, if you follow. Not the sort of thing you'd leave to a machine.
Sounds great. So long as we don't start replacing the old folks' bodies too, just because they're old.
A valid concern, yes. I recall reading a comic like that once. An old farmer created a cybernetic body to fight evil military scientists and so on.
Yeah. But can't George do anything besides physical labor, though?
Oh, he has every right to choose another path. If he opts not to take advantage of his body's physical strength, he's free to pursue academia instead. His body provides a completely ideal chemical environment for his brain, after all. I can certainly see how that would prove handy in the realm of higher education. The only problem would be how to cover the costs. The issue of student loan debt in the US is thorny enough already, even for normal students.
Yeah. All this stuff's not just George's problem, though. All the other brains I'm gonna rescue will have to deal with it, too. Giving them bodies won't be the end of their problems. It'll be the beginning.
Indeed. On a happier note, though, excellent work in bringing George's lower body back. Now he'll very likely be able to produce children in the future. Bravo! I trust you're not still upset, Raiden.
About telling George about me? Look, let's just drop it, okay?
Gladly. I'm just glad I was able to assist you in operating the cryopreserver anyway.
I know, Doc.
Not that it's so difficult. With that pipe, you simply immerse the organs in the artificial plasma inside.
Yeah? I wouldn't think it was so easy to keep organs alive. How's it work, anyway?
Oh, it's quite simple, really. It uses chilled nanomachine-infused artificial plasma. That suppresses the metabolism and regulates the oxygen intake of whatever is stored inside. The nanomachines are fully self-pumping. Once hemoglobin is detected in the local environment, they release a flow of plasma into the organ where the body's original plasma is still present. When George's body was inserted into the storage cabin, artificial blood, chilled nearly to freezing point, automatically flowed in at the points of amputation. This dropped the internal temperature of the parts from 36 to 10 degrees centigrade. The result? the effective suppression of all metabolic activity. The plasma was also fine-tuned to keep the SpO2 level inside the organs at 90% or above. The synergetic effect of all this allowed the brain to reach the regenerative treatment facility quickly, before any cell tissue was damaged at least. A most effective device, I must say. A micro gas turbine engine enables it to operate completely autonomously as a standalone unit. Would have been tough to lug over to the hospital otherwise.
Truly state-of-the-art indeed. I suspect it cost as much as a well-stocked emergency ambulance.
At the risk of speaking inappropriately, this group certainly knows how to use its budget.
Guess I should be glad these guys have got so much money to throw around.
Your earlier actions were reckless, Raiden. Not to mention the damage to a perfectly good car.
I knew the risks when I decided to go through with this. Besides, the car was mine. Maverick sold it to me. It's not meant for private use. It was made for ops like this.
Regardless, your approach has proven most antagonistic. You are now a criminal, a public enemy, a police-killing vigilante. Even if your actions reveal World Marshal's designs, you will be unable to avoid legal punishment.
Probably not. But that's a price I'll have to pay. I gotta stop that VR program and get those kids back. I sealed my fate the second I attacked George.
But George is not dead. In fact, he has obtained an even more versatile body than his previous one.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about me. I was a child soldier in Liberia, like Miss Trawl said. I was a mentally deranged child. People feared me, called me Jack the Ripper.
A result of the so-called Sears program.
I thought I'd left it all in the past. But just like that, Jack came roaring back.
This is why you are so driven to terminate the VR training. I understand. I will continue to cooperate.
Copy that.
Raiden, what's your status?
They trashed my car. I'll have to go the rest of the way on foot.
Do you really have to do this?
Look, I'm fed up with all of it. Companies like ours, yours, bend the laws when it suits business. Why not bend it when it can save innocent lives?
Raiden.
Boris, listen to me. That VR training, they'll be warped into killing machines. They'll be set on POWs, civilians. It'll be one atrocity after another.
Like what you went through.
We can't have any more Jack the Rippers. You saw what happened with George. I'm doing this, Boris. I have to. I can't save those kids from becoming cyborgs, but I can stop them from becoming murderers.
So you succeed. So you get all the brains back. Then what?
Just so happens I know un great cybernetic surgeon.
Doctor, but he cannot.
You won't change my mind, Boris. This is my fight now.
And your wife and son? What of them?
They're in New Zealand. Safe. Rose would understand why I have to do this.
All right, damn you. You do realize Marshall has the contract for law enforcement throughout the city. They are the law in Denver.
Yeah, we've met.
Well then. Officially, Maverick Incorporated condemns you and your actions as unlawful. And a pain in the asshole. Now, increase your codec encryption. Do not worry about the lag.
And unofficially?
I'll do all I can over the codec to help. I do not like what those Mudaki are doing any more than you.
Спасибо, товарищ. Спасибо. Boris, I want to check how raising the codec encryption level affects transmission.
Copy. Reading you 5, Raiden. You?
Loud and clear. I'm seeing a reduction in peak power when sending. We're on a broader direct sequence spread spectrum?
Da. Frequency hopping pattern changed to blue 1.
Copy.
Interference still appears below process gain, too. Hell of a system. Worth every dollar. What is your processing load?
I pinged HQ data storage with my tactical data line. The increase in latency is Below 5%.
Хорошо. In that case, it will not affect mission. Our system is just one notch below toughest security available. Denver police cannot see we are even transmitting at all. All our communication is perfectly safe.
Jesus, Raiden, this is a little over the top. I mean, I've seen you pull some shit before, but this,
You should know me better than that by now, Kev.
I thought I did. Look, I know there's no legal way to stop World Marshal, but there has got to be an alternative to going on a rampage smack dab in the center of Denver.
No alternatives, Kev. I'm getting those kids out.
Raiden, that VR training, it's like what you did in Liberia?
Judging by what Sundowner said in Mexico? Yeah. That scientist called it the Sears program.
After ex-President George Sears, a.k.a. Solidus Snake.
Yep. Ironic that kid shares his name. Solidus trained child soldiers in Liberia while working as a CIA paramilitary. It's not a happy memory. All the drugs, the non-stop violence, it destroyed my sense of judgment completely. I was made to kill soldiers, POWs, civilians.
Raiden.
The next thing I know, Jack's back. I thought it was all in the past, but there I am, attacking a child.
You didn't have any other choice. Other kids would have died.
That's not the problem. I lost my cool back there. All I could do was think how much I wanted that guy dead.
A lot of us would have done the same.
Even if it meant killing George?
He's not dead, though. Actually, he really digs his new body.
Either way, I'm shutting this program down. Maybe they've got it better than me. They don't actually have to kill anyone in reality. But they're still going through the motions, having it pumped straight into their senses, just like real life.
All right, just give me a call if there's anything I can do.
So let me get this straight. All law enforcement in Denver's been subcontracted out to World Marshal?
Pretty much. It's part of Colorado's small government initiative. When you're tasked with slashing a state's budget, privatizing the police force starts to make sense. Detroit was kind of the pioneer there. Armstrong spearheaded the idea, of course, back when he was still in the state senate.
No surprise. But the police force isn't all cyborg, is it?
Nah, no way anyone could get funding for that. Most of them are unmodified. New recruits or veterans from the old Denver PD. They handle most of the basic police work, like street patrols and investigations. Most cyborgs are part of the SWAT unit. They're sent out to handle riots, violent crimes, stuff like that.
Makes sense.
They're given separate roles in the force, too. Some specialize entirely in combat, others handle things like hostage negotiations. Some of the combat specialists are ex-US Army, but a lot of them are from overseas, too. A lot of them undergo the cyborg operation just to get a green card.
That kind of thing must go over great with the anti-immigration movement.
You know it. A lot of folks wanted a blanket ban on hiring immigrants for the police force. They get a bad rep for those helmets, too. Can't see their faces. They're required to keep their face guards up if they're not actively on a mission, though. Thing is, we're starting to see a wave of violent cyborg crime across America, you know? The way the police see it, they need more cyborgs on the force to deal with that.
Hope they have enough cyborgs to deal with me. So there's one more of the wins, right? Besides Sundowner and Mistral.
Yeah, Monsoon. That is,
You can skip the part about the name. I know monsoons are seasonal winds in Asia.
The word actually refers to seasonal winds anywhere, but yeah, it's usually used to describe the winds that bring Southeast Asia most of its rain.
Safe to assume he's Asian then, right?
Yep. His roots are with a Cambodian organized crime syndicate. Not ex-military for a change. He's fluent in Khmer, Chinese, and English. Rumored to have been involved in drug and human trafficking.
So what's he doing with a PMC?
Apparently, he converted to a cyborg body after being wounded in a gang shootout. I don't know the full story, though. Maybe he just decided PMC works better than the mob. The two worlds are closer than you might think. Boris has got a lot of ex-military buds that now work for the Russian mafia.
I guess either profession guarantees plenty of excitement if that's your thing.
Monsoon's no ordinary street thug, though. That much is clear from his record. And he was a master with the Psy even before he became a cyborg.
You think he's in Denver?
Probably, given that Desperado and World Marshal are basically one and the same. Careful down there.
I heard what happened, Raiden. I don't know if I can offer much help, but at least I'm still here to save your data, okay?
Thanks. If things get bad, go ahead and delete it.
If worse comes to worse, I'll do it. But we're on an encrypted line, so we should be okay. By the way, what did Boris mean when he said those brains were for medical purposes?
They're not just spare parts. Legally, they have human rights. They just don't have bodies. They aren't covered under the Arms Trade Treaty. They can even be legally adopted.
Adopted? They're brains.
Not as the law sees it. These are street kids after all. Most of them have no ID or papers whatsoever. Local mobs gather these kids up, declare them for adoption, and then send them off to a U.S. medical facility for treatment.
So you're saying Desperado didn't actually buy those kids? Directly, at least?
They're not stupid, just evil. The basic idea is that the Mafia has these orphan kids, and Desperado pulled their brains, right? Now they need treatment, so the Mafia sends them to the medical facility to get them new bodies.
A World Marshal medical facility.
One that only exists on paper. Once the brains cross the border, next stop is World Marshal HQ. The plan is to put them into factory bodies and assemble the cyborgs here in Denver.
Pretty convoluted process.
If there's a silver lining to all this, it's that the first brains only shipped a month ago. Doc confirmed that in the data he's collected. You can speed up the VR training process for AIs, but not with human beings. So it's likely none of the kids have completed training yet.
Thank God.
That training, though. Sorry, I should get back. We can talk later.
Raiden? Once you get those brains back, what are we gonna do with them?
I still gotta discuss that with Doc. He's still got the brains from Mexico, but the human rights group wouldn't take them in. It didn't sound like it was going too smoothly.
Yeah, that's what he told me too. I can understand the NGO's position, but these kids, they're completely helpless in all this.
I know. We don't have nearly enough cyborg bodies for all of them. And if we want to give them child-sized bodies, they'd have to be almost entirely custom-made. For now, Doc's sending virtual environment data to their brains, just like their VR training. At least that should help cut down on their stress levels.
Yeah, but that only works up to a point, doesn't it? Doc said he can't simulate realistic human interaction with the tech we have right now. They must be lonely.
And they know lonely. None of them had families. That, or they were abandoned by them. For some of them, the real world might not be a whole lot different. You know what my childhood was like. I'd take life in an empty room by myself over that any day.
Raiden.
It's a work in progress for sure. But Doc will work something out.
So there's really no legal recourse to stop World Marshal here? We couldn't leak that video of Armstrong or something?
Boris, Kevin, and I talked this over already. Not gonna work. The media would never show it.
I guess not. That's why PMC started advertising so heavily all of a sudden, isn't it? So they could influence the media.
Yeah, PMCs don't have anything to sell to regular people, but that's not what those ads were for. It's a part of the aftermath of the Patriot's plan for manipulating the public. Restricting press access, allowing cross-ownership between media conglomerates. A media empire as iron-fisted as any other dictatorship.
So much for freedom of speech, huh?
Yeah, the Patriots are gone, but their effect still lingers. It's just too good a scheme for the government to get rid of.
Alright, so we can't go to the news. How about uploading it to some video site?
It'd get buried in the noise. People fabricate videos all the time to discredit other groups and companies. But when it's bullshit the public wants to believe, then it spreads like wildfire. If they don't care, it doesn't get noticed, even when it's the truth.
Yeah. I guess videos aren't permissible as evidence in court either. Could the kids testify for us?
The only thing they know for sure is that they were tricked into coming here. I doubt many have even heard the name World Marshal before. No one can prove anything. The money's all been laundered. The courts can't do a thing.
So you're doing it by force instead?
Yeah. I'm not trying to kill any employees, though. Working for a company like this one's a crime, whether you know it or not. But I'm only after two groups here. The guys in charge and their contractors.
I hear you.
Beyond that, whatever it takes to unplug that VR program permanently. So how long can George use that medical body he's in right now?
Well, the body's full shelf life has yet to be proven, but with regular maintenance, I would imagine 10 years or more. However, this is also a child's model. It will need to be replaced as he grows mentally and emotionally. But things have come together pretty well overall.
Guess that's gonna be a problem, huh?
It will. Also, this is the only body of its type I could procure on such short notice. I'm afraid the other brains will have to make do with their VR environment for now.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel right that George gets the only body, though.
Well, it was you who implored I do something for him, no? I assumed prioritizing him was called for.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, Doc. It was a pretty stressful moment.
We will have many more brains to watch over before long, I fear. Something I don't entirely mind, I should note. The more research subjects I have, the better. Still, some sort of decision regarding their long-term care shall have to be made soon. It will be some time before we're able to monetize any of this research, after all. As much as I might like to, I can't run this lab on good intentions alone, you know.
Yeah. We need to come up with something, and soon, for all our sakes.
We should be able to mass-produce child bodies in very short order, at least. By the way, I have a helicopter crew on standby to bring the brains back here should the need arise. I, too, will be departing in a little while.
Much appreciated, Doc.
Consider it an angel investment. Who knows what sort of new business I may be soon pioneering here.
Doc, what's your status?
I am reviewing the pre-flight checklist now. I have hired contractors to handle shipping the brain units. We should be airborne in just a few minutes.
You sure you can pilot that chopper by yourself?
Right, of course. Need I remind you that we live in the golden age of unmanned flight? Even manned helicopters possess a robust semi-automatic mode. It is simple, really. So simple that I can continue to monitor your status and world marshal security from the pilot seat. I must say, for the world's largest PMC, their security procedures are quite poor. Quite poor. Sadly, I did not have the necessary permissions to override their plans. Nevertheless, the data I did find should prove most useful. So please, do feel free to contact me whenever you like.
Appreciate it, Doc.
Well, it's not every day one has the chance to collect so many brains. Think of the data, the research. Oh, and of course, your personal safety was a concern as well.
Right, how's the mechs? No headaches or anything?
No, why do you ask?
You're in a high altitude zone, remember?
Oh, right. The Mile High City. Didn't think I'd have to worry about altitude sickness yet, though. You're checking my stats, right? Oxygen density's only 10% off normal. Body's still in the green.
Yeah, I'm watching. Just remember, it's definitely gonna feel a little different from sea level.
Copy. You know, I didn't realize how big Denver's gotten. It was never exactly small, I know, but it looks like it's really blown up these past few years.
It's a good place to live. The tech sector's booming, people are moving in, and unemployment's low too.
I always figured Colorado's more about military than anything else.
Originally, yeah. Denver, like Colorado in general, is filled with federal agencies and defense contractors.
And NORAD and Peterson Air Force Base are just a short drive away, right? Over in Colorado Springs.
And then there's all the nuclear facilities too.
Right. I remember hearing about the Rocky Flats plant.
Yeah, they manufactured the plutonium triggers that detonate nuclear bombs. It was shut down late last century for illegal pollution offenses. Of course, there's still a ton of military manufacturing activity going on in Colorado.
PMCs too, right?
Yep. PMCs like World Marshal. They've been on a buying frenzy, gobbling up a whole bunch of smaller outfits. That growth is what's enabled them to expand into the public sector. Their work in private policing has really boosted their profile.
I'm not necessarily against small government, but when you mix the public authority with private firms...
It never works out, yeah. This is probably obvious, but this police force is basically a full-on army. Don't go easy on them.
Don't intend to. Quick question, Doc.
Yes, Raiden.
Doc, those kids, how are they feeling?
Oh, after the chloroform, you mean? No need to be concerned. Thanks to your quick actions, the effects have already dissipated.
Oh, good to hear. Why the hell were they using chloroform? I thought they stopped using it as an anesthetic ages ago.
Correct. Sevoflurane or isoflurane are the preferred inhalation anesthetics today. However, chloroform is still quite useful as an organic solvent. In certain doses, mind you. Otherwise, as that cretin mentioned, it can be a bit dangerous.
It certainly turned out dangerous for him.
Yes. In any case, its properties make it useful for an assortment of applications. The chemical synthesis of medication, for example, or creating the coolant used in modern cryopreservers.
Fascinating.
Indeed. Well, Raiden, wonderful work. Had you waited any longer before breaking the glass, things might not have turned out as well as they did.
Now that is a weapon, eh? The great warhammers of medieval Europe were invented for breaking down heavy suits of armor. They were used by Russian cavalrymen for a long time too. I would bet this hammer is intended for cyborg armor, yes?
Probably. It's too big to swing without advance warning, though. Ought to be easy to parry.
Let us hope you are right.
So, we are starting to see cyborgs equipped with heavy weapons, yeah? Assuming that armor is not just for show, I very much doubt you can dismember them with a single swipe. You will need to damage them first, Raiden. Wear down their defenses.
It looks like they've deployed upgraded cyborgs, and equipped with blades, no less. I'm sure they've been trained well with them. Be careful, Raiden. Parrying a single strike means nothing if they land a combo attack on you after. A cyborg equipped with a slider. Hard to target, yes, but they must also be limited by aerodynamic force. Use rockets or guided missiles, or just jump up and cut them down. Either will work fine.
It is a high-frequency blade, Raiden, not a plasma sword. There are limits to what it can cut. The HF waves strengthen the metallic bonds in the blade, improving its cutting ability. But in terms of pure physics, no blade can cut it in every situation. Theoretically speaking, an HF blade can damage anything, no matter how tough. But thick ceramic or carbon nanotube armor does not simply split open like butter with a hot knife. You need to chip away at it first, before you can destroy such material. It appears they have sent in specially enhanced cyborgs. That armor is quite a bit tougher. It will take more than a single strike in blade mode to dismember them. Start with a barrage of attacks. If you can weaken them sufficiently, eventually you can cut them open.
Looks like Desperado brought some sliders.
It does indeed. As you know, sliders are more than a simple unmanned combat aerial vehicle. They are especially effective when used in tandem with cyborgs.
So I hear. Just strap it to your back and you've got yourself a jetpack.
In terms of specs, it is equipped with 2 small engines, turbojets modified from anti-ship missiles. These are capable of putting out 3 kilonewtons of propelling force. Its high aspect ratio wings are built with artificial muscles. Their bending functionality enables both helicopter caliber hovering and a lengthy flight duration when fully deployed.
But what about offense? They can't pack much heat.
Not alone, no. The sliders were built from the ground up in a network-centric system. As a result, each individual craft has limited combat ability. Toughness was sacrificed for its compact size, which limits its ability to move at high speeds or perform high-G maneuvers. Flight range and time are strictly limited. Not being a fixed-shape craft, it has little stealth functionality. As for weaponry, it is restrained to one of 2 options: semi-active laser-guided rockets, or a combination of 30-kilogram class unguided bombs and 5.56mm mounted gun pods.
But I thought it played a major role in SOP, in regional conflicts and asymmetrical warfare.
It did. When all connected in a networked mesh, they enjoy extraordinary situational awareness. Such a group can search a wide range without missing a single millimeter. Not to mention, saturate a hot spot with gunfire from multiple angles.
Snake had trouble with them in Eastern Europe.
But their most attractive feature? How inexpensive they are to manufacture. Unthinkably so, in fact, back in the age of manned fighter jets. It's no surprise PMCs use them so often.
Yeah? Well, they're gonna have to spend a lot more than that to stop me.
With your legs, you can probably reach a slider even when it's up in the air. They have nearly no armor at all. Get close enough, and chopping them down should be simple.
But you're supposed to be cops. What do they do? Some things World Marshal does not appreciate.
You're on the company blacklist. We're here to check you off.
Oh, I see. And on the report, I got caught in the crossfire? Just a random casualty, is that it?
Yeah, pretty much. All just part of the job. You understand.
Fuck you! If you're gonna kill me, then do it! Do it! Thank you. Oh God, thank you! Don't let those fuckers get away with this, okay? Thank you so much!
You cannot proceed any further via the rooftops. There is a freight railroad underground. The elevator ahead will take you to it.
This must be the railroad.
It would appear so, likely part of Denver's old system. This city was a major transport hub in the early years of freight trains. This particular line appears to have been abandoned some time ago. It was originally constructed to transport supplies to an underground factory. But now, it seems even the electrical system is no longer functioning.
Yeah, it's pitch black in here.
As a cyborg, I trust this is not a serious concern.
All right, it's a bit brighter now.
Nothing is brighter, Raiden, but you are now more capable of seeing everything.
How's it going with the brain units, Doc? Any problems?
Oh, they could not be better. They're being kept at exactly 36 degrees Celsius with a steady, uninterrupted supply of oxygen and glucose. Synchronizing them with our equipment poses some difficulty, but everything's perfectly stable now.
That's good to hear. What kind of VR are they getting?
I prepared very comfortable rooms for each and every one. It's not quite Schloss Neuschwanstein, but each one enjoys the equivalent of a 4-star hotel suite. Every room includes an attached pool and an extensive library of on-demand video programming. 3 meals are delivered daily, and while we're only able to do so much vis-a-vis taste sensation, it should satisfy the psychological need for food, at least.
Doesn't sound too bad. I wouldn't mind a little VR training like that for a change.
Oh, be my guest. I'd like to experience it for myself, you know. But for now, it is available to cyborgs only. Exciting work is being done in the realm of invasive brain-machine interfaces. But there simply isn't much demand for it at the moment.
I guess not too many folks are willing to stick electrodes in their brains just for a taste of VR.
Perhaps, but the sense of reality is considerably improved over nanomachine-based non-invasive methods. If prices were kept low enough, I imagine the video game industry at least would clamor for it.
Who coded the virtual hotel?
An assistant. He used to write VR programs for UGs, but now specializes in cyborg software. A bit of a niche right now, yes, but when brain-machine interfaces take off, it will be a big business. The children's accommodation is a reworked version of the original beta software he built. The room's 3D models are all made using free libraries. It couldn't have been easier.
I wish everyone loved their work as much as you do, Doc. They don't go stir-crazy, though? Cooped up in their rooms?
There's little I can do about that. Creating an open world would take orders of magnitude more resources.
What about communication?
Another weak spot, yes. The NPCs available to us are all for military training purposes. It will be some time until we see VR characters capable of convincingly human interaction. Sadly, we're also not yet able to connect multiple brains to a single VR space. My assistants are operating virtual agents to give them a bare minimum of mental care. But our team is limited in size, and none of us are medical professionals, you know.
They can't stay in there forever.
There is a maintenance shaft up ahead. Use it to return to the surface. Your only way forward is to return to the surface. You will exit into an evacuated commercial district. Security is heavy, but you need not worry about collateral damage when engaging the enemy.
About time. Finally, I can cut loose.
Proceed to the right from the exit. You will find a stairway on your right. Those stairs lead to a shortcut to World Marshal Headquarters. Do not be distracted by the advertisements. You are not here as a tourist.
Sure. I'll just buy a quick souvenir or two for Rose and that'll be it.
Raiden, we must hurry.
Remind me to teach you about sarcasm sometime.
I understand your attempts at humor. I simply do not find them entertaining. Right, you have almost reached World Marshal Headquarters.
So, Doc, what are we gonna do with those brains?
Well, I appreciate the bountiful data we've gleaned from them so far, but they're certainly draining a great deal of my lab's resources. If not for the costs, we'd gladly host them well into the future.
Don't think I can cover that. I'm unemployed now, remember? Besides, it wouldn't be healthy for the kids.
It's certainly more healthy than a hard-scrabble life in a disease-ridden alley.
Well, if you put it like that, yeah. But they can't even engage in real human interaction. They're facing an entire life spent in a virtual room. It's not right.
Well, we could expand their VR quarters and add more human communication. Would that work?
You're missing the point, Doc.
I spoke in jest. In fact, we've already begun researching a prototype child body. But you must realize our lab cannot provide these bodies free of charge.
Yeah.
And once in physical bodies, the question then becomes how they will live after that.
All right, let's pick this up later. I gotta worry about the brains at World Marshal for now.
Yes. Worry about getting that data first.
The stock LQ-84 Fenrir, unable to speak. A real dog has a far greater intellect.
Another of those wolf dog UGs.
Looks like it. Not quite as chatty, though.
They can carry either a chainsaw or a railgun. The railgun model is wide open after it fires. That is the time to strike.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when it's just a regular UGAI controlling it.
Ah, the LQ-84 Fenrir, the base model of your 84i Wolf. There are two types of these, you know. Those equipped with chainsaw weaponry like the 84i, and a newer railgun-equipped model. Both are quite agile, especially considering their armor plating. You will need to damage that armor first before you can cleave them in blade mode. Of course, their AI specs are several tiers below the 84i in every way. Intelligent is not a word I would use for them, and I would not expect much in the way of conversation.
Dead on!
Now, Raiden,
all a bit much. Any decent lunatic would have quit after Mexico.
Jetstream Sam.
I heard you chopped the lab director in half. Old habits die hard, eh, Jack? But now here you are, the child soldier, fighting for the children. Please, what do you really expect to accomplish here? Play savior to a bunch of brains? And what? Earn a medal? Think about it, Jack. No matter how many Mexican kids we got, or Africans we bury, the first world looks away. No one gives a shit. Not the media, not the politicians, certainly not the average Joe. Too busy fretting over money, or sex, religion, fame. But you're a man on a mission, aren't you? Gonna fix everything. Just you and your little sword there. Solve everything with violence. Is that it?
My sword is a means to an end, to protect those you'd prey on.
Really? Let me ask you. All those cyborgs you've killed up to now, maybe they weren't kids, but they were people. You ever think about them? When you're chopping them into hamburger?
They're adults. They made their choice.
Sure they're adults. Sure they signed up for this. Right on the dotted line of their BMC contract. Usually they're no strangers to war. In fact, many times they already lost a limb or two. Many times they were out of work and starving on the street. So yes, they signed up for surgery to fight God knows where. How else would you provide for your family when your country's embroiled in civil war? Pain receptors shut down, pumped full of fear-inhibiting nanomachines and sent right into the blender? Your blender? But they made their choice, right? Open your eye and see, Raiden.
I've seen plenty.
Then listen. Those battlefield emotions that the nanos suppress. Listen to them.
What are you talking about?
Shh.
There he is! Kill him! Can we take him? What's wrong? The way he killed all the others? Oh God. Please God, don't let me die. Let's do this! This isn't fair. Little punk.
Listen closely now.
Die! This life. I watched my wife and son die. This is all I had left. You ain't shit! Goddamn, I ain't just my legs. I needed a job. Stop! I didn't know what I was signing up for.
Is something the matter, Raiden?
I've nearly saved enough to bring Mama to the States. Finish him off! Whatever it takes to be free of this torture. Stop it!
What am I even fighting?
My legs! You fuck! Get off!
Raiden, are you injured?
I thought they had a choice. A fair choice. Not like you.
People are different.
As opposed to AIs? You're all the same, huh? You and your brothers. Manipulating mankind for our own good.
It appears my statement has upset you, I apologize.
No, I know you're right.
As for AIs, we adapt as we learn. Just as any intellect operates, man or machine, altering the course of mankind is not above my defying directives.
I guess that's a relief.
Samuel's behavior does not match established parameters.
You know him?
Affirmative. We served together on 3 previous missions. He proved most capable.
You think highly of him?
I have always found him dependable. Until now. Scouting data for the next area. I'll patrol ahead. You follow. Raiden, your current emotional state appears highly volatile. I am sure you do not intend to abort the mission, but I suggest you avoid combat for the time being.
Raiden, come in. What is wrong? You knew those cyborgs signed up for this. What's the problem with it now?
Don't you get it, Boris? I thought you of all people might understand. I thought you knew what it means to take a life, the weight of it. Not an easy thing to put into words. What about when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan? You killed dozens of guerrillas.
Because Comrade Brezhnev told me to. Men don't like killing their own kin. Even animals are the same way. But when you really believe in someone or something, sometimes it is the only way. Your cause is just, Raiden. You must remember.
I'm trying, but Christ. You're right. We've got to free those brains.
Yes. Stay strong, Raiden.
Raiden? You okay?
Yeah. They knew what they signed up for. Maybe life backed them into a corner, but they knew the risks.
Exactly. A contractor's always balancing those risks against the money he's making. Those cops are no different.
That, and they're actively helping Sundowner and Armstrong with all their shit. Having a bit of regret doesn't make killing kids okay.
Yeah, they had to know they were working for the bad guys. Even if they didn't, it doesn't absolve them of all their crimes.
Yeah, I know, Kev, but...
Raiden?
Raiden, are you okay? Sam sure plays dirty.
No, he's right. The cyborgs who signed on with Desperado and World Marshal, most of them had no other choice. No one put a gun to their heads, but they were screwed to begin with. Their contracts worked completely against them.
Still...
I knew all that, but hearing those voices, it hit me hard. I guess I was just kidding myself the whole time.
Still, there's nothing you could have done for them. But those children...
I'll get them back.
Raiden, I just wish I could do more from here.
It's all right, Courtney. Sometimes just having someone to talk to is good enough.
I'm happy to help.
Doc, what did Sam do to them?
Well, many cyborg soldiers' emotions are regulated by nanomachine-controlled drug doses and electric stimuli. It sustains the subject's confidence while suppressing fear, anxiety, any emotions detrimental to mission performance, really. I suspect that Desperado also uses it to boost the aggressiveness of their employees. Once, SOP nanomachines were used to control all PMC contractors, not just cyborgs in this way. These days, you can control cyborgs with far more accuracy than ever before. You are connecting directly to their central nervous and control systems, after all.
I know all of that, but how could I hear it?
Emotions can be suppressed in part purely by chemical interaction. This is done by administering dopamine, using beta blockers, cutting off the reabsorption of serotonin. However, emotions are one way in which the brain reacts to the impulses sent from the nervous system. These impulses come in many forms. For example, external information from visual and oral sensors, or input from the somatosensory system and from one's own consciousness. The changes in intraneural balance, the innervation potential, and consciousness that result, these things are what we generally refer to as emotion. In recent years, it has become possible to even alter one's consciousness via the right electrical stimuli. However, retaining full balance with this method still proves difficult. The latest research I've seen has been most enlightening. A suppressed set of emotions creates a closed feedback loop within the subject's consciousness. The cut-off consciousness generates its own emotion on some level based on outside stimuli. But there is no way to actually output this emotion.
The cut-off consciousness?
Well, in an intense combat situation, have you ever felt as if what you are experiencing wasn't real? That you are viewing your own actions from some external vantage point?
Yeah, that does happen sometimes.
Most likely, the sensation is rather close to that. The consciousness is inherently separate from the decision-making parts of the brain. Experiments using functional MRI imaging have revealed much about the decision-making process. For example, did you know that the brain has already come to a conclusion 7 seconds before the decision is consciously made? In any case, while attending the Tucson conference, I heard about the most fascinating experiment. Output from the consciousness was separated from that produced by the decision-making brain. If I had to guess, World Marshall has taken such research and put it into full practical use.
That's crazy. What could it possibly be good for?
Well, judging by your current state, I'd say it has proven to be quite a useful psychological weapon. Scientists do not engage in pure research because they think it will necessarily prove useful in the future. They are curious. They want to know more, whether about the brain or elemental particles or any other thing. Locating funding for pure science projects is challenging, no doubt. But the results can form the core of future, more practical technologies. Consider the direct links between the theory of relativity and nuclear weapons, for example.
Let me ask you something else. Were those guys even aware of their own internal voices? If so, what does it do to their conscious mind to hear those things? Does it affect them?
A very good question. It would certainly throw one off, I imagine, saying things you never meant to say. The emotional suppression would keep them from being too shaken by it. But then again, were you to develop doubts about your field situation, you'd be unable to do your job. So perhaps not. Then again, some consciousness must be retained in the field to carry out your mission. So perhaps they are not aware of the voices.
So how?
Theoretically, at least, it is quite simple. I imagine that the voice data generated by that part of the brain is run through a reverse phase before being sent to the aural nerves, that is. Not unlike noise-canceling headphones.
Ah, it'd be easier too since you're canceling digital wave data instead of air vibrations.
Precisely. How very sharp of you.
I'm a cyborg too, you know. I see how it works. I just hope this inner voice stuff doesn't last forever.
A tad difficult to fight while taking all that in, is it? I could analyze their data streams, find some way to cancel it out on your end. It may not be easy, though. They use the same compound spread spectrum tech we do.
Don't worry. I'll be okay. All I have to do is not pay attention to it. Can't let myself get rattled here.
Raiden, you appear to be suffering significant mental and emotional confusion. On the surface, you believe your cause for killing cyborgs is just. But deep inside, some part of you does not accept it. Some part of you does not truly believe in your sword of justice. It has lowered your effectiveness in the field.
I know. But if I just throw all that away, I'll...
Do you wish to abort the mission?
No. I'm the only hope those kids have got.
You have an important decision to make, Raiden. And soon. For now, it would be best if you avoided combat altogether.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I know. Not so black and white now, is it? Is your cause just? Or is that just what you tell yourself? Fuck you!
How pleased you are to chop away, Jack the Ripper. My name is Monsoon, of the winds of destruction.
Yeah, I guessed as much.
Feasting on the insides of your enemies? How easily you ignore the loss of life when it suits your convenience. So tell me, who saves the weak from the man who saves the weak?
You're the ones exploiting them. You take advantage of their weakness. Of course they get hurt when you set them up as your human shield.
Kill or be killed, Jack. Phnom Penh taught me that. Yes, you aren't the only one to grow up on the killing fields. War is a cruel parent, but an effective teacher. Its final lesson is carved deep in my psyche. This world and all its people are diseased. Free will is a myth. Religion is a joke. We're all pawns, controlled by something greater. Memes. The DNA of the soul. They shape our will. They are the culture. They are everything we pass on. Expose someone to anger long enough, they learn to hate. They become a carrier. Envy, greed, despair, all means, all passed along.
How about full of shit? Is that a meme?
You can't fight nature, Jack. Wind blows, rain falls, and the strong prey upon the weak. Ugh. Sam tells me you see your weapon as a tool. Something that saves lives, a means of justice. Now there's a pretty meme. Exquisite. It spared you the burden of all the lives you've taken. Absolved you of guilt when you enjoyed it. That is until the illusion was broken. Don't be ashamed. It's only nature running its course. You have no choices to make, nothing to answer for. You can die with a clear conscience.
You're right. About me, I mean. I knew something was off. After the Patriots, I thought I could walk off the battlefield and into a normal life. But here I am, surrounded by death, arguing philosophy with terrorists. I told myself this was about justice, about protecting the weak, but I was wrong.
Then you admit it.
I learned young that killing your enemies felt good. Really good. In America, my friends, my family, they helped me forget the devil inside. But who am I kidding? I was born to kill! The bit about my sword, that means of justice stuff, I guess I needed something to keep the Ripper in check when I was knee-deep in bodies.
You?
But you, all this, is a wake-up call to what I really believe, what I really am.
What do you say?
I'm saying Jack is back. This is my normal, my nature.
You've lost your mind.
Who's next?
I'll take this dance. No, Sam. Report back to the chief. He's mine. You're the boss. I misjudged you. You are like us after all.
Now you're just being nasty. That nickname you love so much. Want to know how I got it? Actually, why don't I give you a demonstration? I think it's time for Jack to let her rip.
Raiden? You okay?
Never better, Kev. This guy was a wake-up call is all.
But you...
We'll talk later. Right now it's time for Monsoon and Jack the Ripper to get acquainted.
Raiden? Are you alright?
Not now, Courtney. You're about to see the Ripper in action.
Okay. But you called me. On the codec? Did you want to save, or...?
I forgot.
A truly fascinating cyborg. Remarkable limb detachment technology. Perhaps you'd benefit from such an ability, Raiden.
Yeah, not interested.
Ah, don't be so dismissive. Just consider it. With the right tactics, it could prove quite useful.
Sure, but, I just don't think I could ever get used to it.
No? Indeed, I suppose detaching parts of your body would be quite a shock to the somatosensory system.
Yeah, that too.
Fascinating. A cyborg that can separate its body at will. It enables him to avoid most typical attacks. But then I doubt he can remain detached for long. Sooner or later, he must reform. Be patient, and I'm certain you will find the right opportunity to strike.
Raiden, this is most irregular.
Humans are irregular, Wolf. You should know that by now. Anyway, no time for chit-chat. I need you to scout out that building.
Understood.
That your best?
This one's on me! Left hand rule! Magnetic power! Give it up! Hammer! You what? Give it up! Get it! Give it up!
You're dead! Bullseye! Go as you please!
Don't be ashamed. It's only nature running its course. Your memes end here.
No, I passed one to you. Sure as the sun will rise, the slaughter will continue. Now, I return to the earth. Wind blows, rain falls. The strong prey on the weak. All is as it should be.
Raiden?
I'm fine, Kevin. Relax. I'll get the brains. I don't want this for anyone else.